Welcome to episode 64 of your weekly Concealed Taco Dudes podcast.
Welcome to Tacoberfest.
Tacoberfest. Ooh, why? We should have a celebration.
We should.
What kind of music would we play with Talktoberfest?
We'd have to do Mexican mariachi.
Yeah, mariachi band.
It just
Have you guys
like the South Park episode where they had the invasion of the mariachi bands. It was great.
Speaking of mariachi bands, I'm going to give everybody a hot tip. So I have a
music tip from Jason.
Yes, I have a playlist. Well, I have a friend that we share music back and forth on Spotify, and we have a playlist that we share and everything. We recommend music. His taste's a little bit different than mine, and so he'd recommend the stuff, and I'd be like, nope, try again. And then one day he sends me this. Here, check these guys out. The band is called Mariachi L Bronx.
Mariachi.
And I'm like, dude, you're going out on a limb on this after what you've been sending me. He's like, just try them out. They are freaking awesome. So they started out as a punk band called the Bronx. They're an LA band. They were asked to do an acoustic set live for like a radio show or something.
I see the acoustic set on NPR.
and they decided, well, rather than just doing our regular stuff acoustic, which punks just doesn't carry over into acoustic sound really, they went full mariachi, and now I think they've released 3 or 4 albums as Mariachi L Bronx, and it is the coolest stuff ever. One of my favorite bands. So give Mariachi L Bronx a listen.
You have to put a link in the show notes.
In the show notes.
Actually, what you should do is let the listeners join you on Spotify and share your list.
Yeah, I have a playlist on my Spotify that is called Mariachi Madness, and it is just Mariachi L Bronx. I can't remember what my...
Well, we'll figure it out. You can look that up while we do self-defense in the news.
I was just going to throw this out there. You know, the audio quality obviously probably doesn't sound as good as it normally does. But the reason for that is we are recording remotely from our own mini studios.
Yeah, I think Taco caught COVID from President Trump.
No, it's funny because if it's COVID, whatever, flu or just a cold. But I think I got it because my twin girls, every night they give me a kiss on the cheek. They got sick, and they gave me a kiss on the cheek, and then I got sick. So
those filthy children.
I know. It's all their fault.
Yeah. Anyway.
But, so I was being kind, and I did not meet with everybody in person and spread it to all of their family.
Which is greatly appreciated, regardless of what it may or may not be that you have.
Right. Yes.
Whatever you got, we don't want. So, if you want to follow me on Spotify, it's j.christensen-8 is who I am.
And you have to specify what Christensen. There's like a million different ways to spell Christensen.
Well, it's Christensen, the only correct way.
Instead of Christiansen
or Christianson.
Yeah.
But anyway, check out Mariachi L Bronx and let me know what you think. I think they're awesome. It's a definitely a twist on traditional mariachi music, but yeah. Anyway, let's hit some sponsors. Black Ice Coatings. If you have not sent Lee over at Black Ice a bolt carrier group out of one of your ARs or something like that yet to get Teflon coated, you don't know what you're missing.
Yep.
We talk about it all the time. You just can't explain it until you try it. I keep my Ruger Mark II with the 10-inch barrel down at my shop all the time, and when customers come and we start talking about things like that, I hand that to them. I'm like, pull the slide back on that, and they're like, oh my gosh.
And then you pour a soda down the barrel, and you're like,
yeah.
Look at this. Look at how it sheds the water, sheds the Coke.
Yeah, it's impressive when you get your hands on it and you actually use it. You know, and Mark, you've got a complete gun done in it now.
Yeah, and that thing runs like crazy. interesting thing. They're competent gunsmith. I don't know. I speak highly of their professionalism and their skills. The Ruger SP-101 that I sent in, they were going to Teflon even the trigger control group and everything. But it turns out, it was already fairly light trigger pull, and it tends to reduce the trigger pull when you send in stuff and do the trigger things. But it turned out just excellently. The gun runs great. No issues with a fairly complex revolver action, and they put it all back together right.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, I don't know if he's done this before or not, to be honest. We'll have to ask Lee, but it would be interesting to take just a stock trigger group out of an AR lower parts kit.
Yeah, it would.
And just have it Teflon, put it in and see what that does too. Because I bet it would improve it tremendously. I bet you'd get kind of what you'd get with that fluff and buff kind of treatment where it just smooths everything out.
Yep.
That would be pretty cool. Anyway, check out blackicecoatings.com. Check them out on Instagram. I don't know if they have a Facebook page or not, probably. But check them out. Instagram, they're posting stuff all the time. The hydro dips that they're doing, Cerakoting, whatever. Use the code SLICKERY when you send something in to have coated or whatever you're doing, and something might happen.
Maybe he'll give you a discount.
He might.
Do we have any other sponsors still?
We have Mag Holder.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What's up with Mag Holder?
Well, we're just continuing to plug through and offer more configurations in the new, Generation 2 stuff with the reversible belt clips, so you can try right hand, you can try left hand, you can do all that stuff. The feedback has been very positive with the SIG, both the 365 and the 320 and the Springfield Hellcat, and nice. We're just plugging away. So thank you for your business.
What's your preferred code these days?
Well, so if you're ordering a SIG, use the code FINALLY. that one is pretty popular because people waited for a fairly long time for that configuration. But I'm still very partial to get in the van, I have candy. So,
nice.
Yeah.
What the 43? Don't you have one for the 43 now, yes. Or is that okay?
Yeah. So for the standard 43 and the 43X/48, the
right.
43X/48 is the generation 1, but it also works really well. So, it's not like generation 1 is less good than generation 2. You just don't get your choice of it being ambidextrous.
Right.
But hit us up. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's talk about Tackware real quick. Tackware as tackware.com, EDC gear, titanium gadgets and gizmos and flashlights. I still need to get over there, and I want to pick up a bunch of the little tiny 100 lumen
the little
guys.
Flashlights.
They're
that'd be great
for 90% of what you need, to be honest.
Yeah, holiday gift giving. So I've got a lead lenser 100 lumen thing that I use like every day, but it was pretty expensive. So
yeah,
we're getting towards Thanksgiving and having all that kind of stuff down the road here. So you need your tactical apron when you're having cooking holiday meals.
Yep. Check out Tackware, tackware.com. Use the code TACO10. We'll save you 10% off of your order. Let's jump into some feedback with Taco.
All right. So I've been getting some good feedback. I've been posting the episodes on YouTube. I had a request from several of the people. They're like, hey, can't you just post stuff here? So I have been doing it, and it's just audio only and stuff. But I don't have any of that feedback for today, but I have the emailed feedback. So first off, we got an email from Alex in Colorado, a.k.a. Kit Clock. And he's the one who won the NOE package. Nice. And he just wrote in saying, thanks, guys, and that he appreciates the NOE package. And he did a couple posts on Reddit where he was showing he ended up getting a 9mm or 357 bullet mold, but it was in brass and it was hollow point. It's pretty nice. It looks really pretty. Mm. And so he was doing some casting, and he sent us some pictures of the stuff, the casting and whatnot, but you guys can't see them, so that's too bad. But we also have one from Zach A from Montana, And he just says, just wanting to say thank you to Al Nelson and Taco for answering my questions on bullet mold material. And I would also like to let Al know that before your answer, I had bought a brass NOE 359-93 to use as a lead saver in 380, 9mm, and 38 special. And compared to the Lyman mold I usually use, it is like a sports car compared to a minivan. And he says the NOE mold drops bullets with just opening the mold and preheated it, gave me keepers from the start.
Neat. So you don't have to like waste your first 10 bullets or something, or
yeah. I mean, you want to make sure you do all the preheating, this, the heat cycling, and I like to put a light coating of smoke in it, especially on the brass molds. But
and use a ball peen hammer to knock the mold open.
Yeah, and he says now after your answer, I have to save up for an NOE aluminum mold to try. And he says NOE is the best and casts beautiful bullets with little effort. Tell Al Nelson that his quality and fast shipping have earned a long-time customer. Thank you. And if Taco has any recommendations on a standard weight 9mm with lube grooves, I would like to plan to save up for it. And so the one I think that I would probably recommend, I forget the model number. I could probably email them back the model number, but it's basically the same profile as the round nose 133 grain grooveless. It just has the lube groove. So I really like that
so
bullet.
That loses a couple grains, so it's probably in the one.
Yeah, it's probably like 128 or something like that. So
I think his idea of a single bullet that you can use in like 38 special 9mm and 380 is awesome. A 90 grain, something like that. It sounds like a really enlightened choice.
Yeah, it's kind of, if you don't have a lot of lead and you want to have a lead saver load, then you can still shoot your 9mm. You're just going to be shooting a little tiny bullet and kick it out a little faster. So, and
you could load it up for 2,000 feet per second out of your 70.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend kicking it out that fast, but it'll probably be a little faster than your typical 124 or 133, something like that.
Neat.
Okay, we got another one from, let's see, Jacob. He says, Taco, going back to episode 51, he talked about wanting to make a retro build with a 14.5-inch barrel. To avoid the tax stamp, he could go with an extended A2 flash hider so it still looks like a clone, then just pin and weld it. And then he has a link to the BravoCompanyUSA.com, and it's the BCM A2X extended A2 flash suppressor. So, and he says, hope this helps. So it looks like we have some people going back to older episodes. And, I never did build that. I didn't buy it. Davidson Defense had one. Is it Davidson Defense? I can't remember. Anyways, somebody had one on sale and it was like a really good deal and it was a nice one. But that was a little bit before all of the craziness of COVID riots, et cetera. And so I haven't checked to see if I could still find one of those. But thanks for the info. That's all I got for listener feedback.
Cool. Well, thanks for emailing in and letting us know that there's at least 3 of you listening to the show.
Yeah.
That's always a confidence booster. Let's jump into what we did with guns this week. Mark, let's start with you.
I visited my suppressor in jail.
Oh, nice. And how is it doing?
It's beautiful.
Was it a conjugal visit?
It was.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I was a little freaked out because I had never put a suppressor on my own weapon before, but I just kind of screwed it in, looked, obviously everything was safe. I had the lever gun bolt out, so I looked through it and it kind of looked straight, so just fired it up and went downstairs at the range, the TNT range here in Salt Lake, and shot it and was shocked how awesome it is. And also with a fairly stout 4570 load, was really happy with essentially how it acts like a compensator and reduces the recoil. So it's going to help tame the 4570 with some more stout loads.
That's one thing I've noticed is suppressors, especially on the rifles, they act as like probably one well, a flash suppressor and muzzle brake. They seem to tame the recoil quite a bit. One of the nice things about them is they get rid of that huge concussion, like if you shoot like say a 5.56 AR-15 with a muzzle brake on it, and that big concussion that comes out that makes everybody glare at you if they're standing to the sides of you.
Right.
With the suppressor, it tames all that down, kills the noise, kills the concussion, and it's pretty nice.
I had to go visit it because I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but one of my doctor buddies got his suppressor down in Texas. He got his in 5 months. I'm beyond that a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe he's got strings he's pulled or something. Maybe he's like connected. Who knows?
Well, is there a DR that precedes your name on your paperwork?
That a good question.
That could be the difference.
That's what I did. It was delightful, and I've been other than that, I've just been concealed carrying in non-permissive environments like hospitals and things like that. So
nice, cool.
I mean, I shouldn't say that publicly, should I? Anyway,
it's what
Utah.
it is.
It's legal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It may be frowned upon, but it's not illegal.
Right.
So cool. I didn't do a whole lot again this week. I've super busy in the shop and just don't ever seem to be getting as much done as I need to. But I did take some time to cull a few, at least one more Eurasian ringneck dove.
Oh, good.
But I've been a little bit not reluctant, but hesitant because I wasn't sure exactly the story behind the species,
Yeah,
so I've done
guilty vermin.
I've done some research, and they're native to Europe and parts of Asia. They migrated into the U.S. from the Bahamas. So somebody brought them into the Bahamas. They flew over from the Bahamas into Florida, and they have just taken over, especially Colorado and Utah.
Yeah.
And Orem, believe it or not, was the first sighting of a Eurasian ring-necked dove in the state of Utah, which happens to be where I am.
That's fascinating. So they are out competing the Inca doves and the morning doves, and we need to make some.
And they are considered an invasive species. They are open season all year round, so there's no regulations on them. And from stuff I've been reading, they are good eating, just like a mourning dove, but there's actually a little more meat to them.
Yeah, they are bigger. They're kind of the size of a really small pigeon.
Yeah.
And I know that you know how far it is to your nearest pigeon there, Jason. But
well,
where are you finding them? Are you finding them like around your work or?
Yeah. And I did a little bit of research on where it's okay to shoot them and where it isn't and stuff like that. And from what I can see, as long as you're not endangering anybody, even in your own backyard, it's acceptable. But it's going to be one of those things where if you're doing it and you get a complaint, there could be a problem depending on the officer that rolls up and stuff like that. But
So what Jason is saying, check your local laws.
Check your local laws, for sure.
At least understand them before you break them.
Yeah. and you need to understand, depending on where you live, where I live, my neighbors see me going in and out of my place with multiple guns all the time. They know who I am. Most of them have all their own anyway. So seeing me in my backyard with an air gun or something like that isn't going to surprise or startle anybody. But if you live, where I grew up in Silicon Valley, totally different story. You might not want to do it there.
Well, you need to throw these things in the freezer if you're not going to immediately cook them up.
I know. Well, the one that I offed the other day immediately fell into the canal.
Oh, perfect.
And disappeared. So yeah, I plan to harvest some, and I definitely want to throw some on the grill and see how they are. And at the very least, Ava can have some.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, the breast meat is about meal size. It's really rich compared to like rabbit or even beef.
Sure.
It's like tons of calories. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I did this week. Taco.
Yeehaw! So
You've got 20 seconds. Go.
that's not fair. So I did a bunch of reloading this week. I loaded up probably about 2,000 223s and about 1,000 9mm. And I was able to score a case of small pistol primers from, was it Small Pistol? I don't know. I got both small pistol primers and some small rifle primers. I'm ramping up to do like a huge loading session for the 300 Blackout. I have to replenish my bunny fart load supply. I also did a live stream yesterday, and on the live stream it was a little bit over an hour, and I walked through the whole process of going from ingot to a powder coated bullet. I know some people have asked to talk a little bit more about bullet casting on the podcast, but I would highly recommend heading over to my YouTube channel and just re-watching that, or the live stream where I do the casting and powder coating, and you can see
the video is going to be a lot more instructive than just the audio.
And make sure you have the sound. Yeah, and make sure you have the sound on, because I'm talking the whole time and answering people's questions that are chatting in, and just going over like every little bit of the process,
So is that latest video going to be an issue with YouTube, because they've pulled your videos down for being a terrorist, teaching people how to manufacture their own ammunition?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, check on it or watch it while it's still up there, and that should be for the people who want to know more about bullet casting and want to see what it looks like, and maybe the people who are very starting out and they want to see how it looks, and some tips and tricks. I go through a lot of things in that live stream. And also in that live stream, I was mentioning that I was hoping to, or I had a goal for this week or weekend, to cast my body weight in bullets. And I actually finished doing that tonight, right before the podcast.
Wow.
So I cast, so I weigh 165, and I cast about 175 pounds of bullets.
Wow. How many rounds are we talking roughly?
I don't know, man. It's a lot. I was trying to just cast as much as I could, and I have so many of those little bunny fart bullets and a bunch of 9mm.
You should have just done the 50 cal. You would have been done in half an hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, today I was like, man, I'm cutting it close. I need to get some bigger stuff. So I did the Desert Eagle 50 cal hollow point bullets, and I did some 4570 500 grain pointy bullets. That's the same bullet I use in the 458 SOCOM for subsonic, and I've also shot it in my Sharps, my 4570 Sharps, and my 12-inch 4570. And Mark, I think you remember shooting I think we were doing single feed 4570 in my 1886 with a hybrid suppressor.
Right.
And that bullet's, it's pretty awesome. It's a 500 grain grooveless bullet, and with the case full of Trail Boss behind it, shooting at subsonic, it's funny because it's so quiet, but then when it hits the steel, it totally shakes the steel. So
right.
But I tried to go down to NOE, but I just ran out of time. Al gave me a call, and he told me that that group buy of that really heavy 38 special bullet, it's 195 grain hollow point bullet for the 38 special. That one is designed for the snub nose revolvers. You could probably shoot it in other stuff, but people were looking for a super heavy self-defense 38 special bullet, and I need to pick up that and do some casting with that, and do like a soft bullet, soft alloy, and with that hollow point, see if I could get some good mushrooms. So
that's a good idea.
Cool.
So Taco, do you know you weigh 1,155,000 grains?
Well, all right, there's 7,000 grains in a pound. So yep. Only Mark would do the math.
And that guy in West Virginia.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what I
Oh.
did this weekend in guns.
That's pretty awesome. I
Oh,
still
and
need to get over there one day, and we need to cast some air gun pellets and slugs.
yeah.
I need to.
And I was going to say, I did use some of my little NOE pellets, the wad cutter pellets,
Yeah.
and added another like 6 or 7, kills to my kill count on the Ed gun.
Nice.
So
Nice.
those little ones,
You're kind of a psychopath with that thing.
it shoots great, man. And it's kind of cool though that when you make your own pellet and you're like, yeah, I can still shoot accurately with this gun with something I made.
Have you noticed any differences really between the pellets you cast and the pellets you bought as far as accuracy and stuff like that?
I haven't shot groups, so I wouldn't know, but every time I aim at something, then it's like a pop, when you hit it. So
It dies?
yeah, it dies. So
Nice.
anyways.
Well, cool.
But I was gonna say we need to go out and all 3 of us or whatever and go out and do like an air gun hunt like I did before and harvest a bunch of little critters for the hawk for winter.
That would be cool.
It'd be
That
great.
would definitely be cool.
I don't
Right
know if
on.
you guys can hear this behind me, but it sounds like Battle of the Bulge going on because I live not too far from Thanksgiving Point, and they're doing their fireworks tonight.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool. Well, let's move on. Mark's got some news for us.
I do.
Defense in the news.
Good stuff from September 29th. No charges filed after Mesa County resident shoots intruder. The 21st District Attorney's Office declined to press charges after a man later identified as 23-year-old Frederick Price was found shot dead in a Mesa County home around 3 a.m. on August 8th. So, yeah, Arizona doesn't look like a great place to do home invasions. When Mesa County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene, Price was found unresponsive, lying in the front entryway of the home with a gunshot wound to the chest. So on August 10th, August 10th, Mesa County Coroner Victor Yan confirmed the gunshot wound to the chest was the cause of death. That was probably a big surprise. It might have been COVID.
That's how it was filed. But
yeah, and ruled it a homicide. So in a letter sent to the Mesa County Sheriff's Office, the Judicial District Chief Deputy District Attorney, whatever the heck that is, but his name is Bo Zerip.
Nice.
The attorney is Bo Zerip. That's a great name. He cited, oh, you know what? This is Mesa County. This is Colorado. My bad.
Oh, this isn't Arizona. I assumed it was Arizona as well.
Yeah, Mesa County. So sorry about that, folks. Cited Colorado's, quote, "make my day law." That's good that they have a make my day law to explain why no charges were filed in the case. The statute states that a person is justified in using deadly force against another person when that person has made an unlawful entry into their home and it is reasonable to believe the intruder has committed a crime or intends to physically harm the occupant or their property. So that is kind of a, open-ended thing.
Yeah.
And so apparently in Colorado, just doing a home invasion is apparently almost sufficient to justify lethal force.
So it sounds like this guy didn't make it very far either.
No, he didn't.
He died in the entryway of the door.
Here's how it went down. Sheriff's deputies were called after an elderly woman called to report that an unknown man had broken into her home. She told police her son shot the intruder after he made threats and lunged at him. The two were the only witnesses to what happened, and the cops looked around the neighborhood. They couldn't see anything that contradicted their story. So that's good. She heard a loud banging coming from the front door and heard her son tell somebody to get down on his knees and then heard a gunshot. Her son told police that he woke up to the loud banging, grabbed his handgun. He thought the man had broken into the home based on the condition of the door frame, told him to get down on his knees. The intruder did not comply and threatened the man, he told police. He said he felt he had no choice but to shoot the intruder. So anyway, the home invader, now laying face down in the hallway, had apparently been drinking and was reported to be highly intoxicated. The coroner's report revealed that his blood alcohol was, it's close, 0.221.
Wow.
So it would have been better if it was 223. Or
Let's just
anyway,
say that.
Bo Bo Z-Rip found no evidence to contradict what the resident said happened, and he said that they deemed that the shooter acted appropriately and within his legal rights.
Nice.
So yay for the good guys and yay for Bo Z-Rip.
Yeah.
Bo Z-Rip. That's an awesome name. Let's hit a couple more sponsors real quick. Utah Air Guns, UtahAirGuns.com. Awesome lineup of air guns from, $180 on up to about as much as you care to spend.
Yeah, I was going to say, I went by there and I was looking at the different pistols that they sell.
Yeah.
You know, they have that little cheap Diana $180 or $200. Is it 180 or 200?
I think they're around that, yeah.
Yeah, anyways, I don't think they have them in stock again yet, but I was looking at the FX handgun, and then they had a German-made handgun, and the German-made one looked pretty dang awesome.
Yeah.
So something, but I already have my future, or I guess my next airgun purchase already planned out. So
right. Mark, when are you going to take the plunge into the airgun world?
You guys are always pressuring me. So I was actually...
You still have 2 kidneys, right?
Yeah, I
There you go.
Well, Taco and I are talking about heading over Monday and taking a look around. So, Jason, I know are you available Monday? Maybe we can rendezvous over there.
Possibly. Let me know when you guys are heading over. Maybe I can neglect my work for a little while.
Yeah, we're thinking about, lunchtime-ish.
Okay. Yeah. Just give me a heads up when you're heading over. I'll meet you guys over there.
Cool.
Sounds good.
So check out Utah Air Guns. We don't have a code for them yet. I keep bugging Justin. He tells me he's going to get me a code. Hasn't happened yet. So if you're listening to this show and you want to email Justin and say, I'm ready to order a gun, but I don't know what code I'm supposed to use for the concealed taco dudes. See what that gets you. NOE bullet molds. We've talked about them a bit already. Good stuff, man. If you're interested at all in getting into casting, which, depending on the way things go in November, that might be a good thing to get into now.
It's always a good thing to get into. I just barely this last week, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. It's all kind of running together. But I had a friend come over and kind of taught him how to cast for the first time, and he was making some 45-70 and 300 blackout bullets. And both of those, he's going to save tons of money when he loads those. He went over to NOE and picked up a bunch of lead because they still sell the lead ingots. And so he used our coupon code, saved a few bucks, got some lead, brought it over. We melted it down, made some shiny bullets, and he's going to be ready to go soon.
Cool. So use the code FLT001, and that'll save you 10%, I believe. Is that what he...
Yeah. I think it'll save 10%. And just another FYI, so there's the 38 special bullet, the 195 grain hollow point, huge bullet. They also just barely did another run of the Moab bullet, and that is a 600 grain bullet for the 45-70 or the 458 SOCOM. So
cool. Awesome. Okay. I guess I'm the last sponsor. Concealment Solutions. ConcealmentSolutions.com. Really what I have tried to do with my business is build it into kind of a one-stop holster shop. So anything that you may need or want, hopefully we have it. If we don't, I do custom stuff all the time. I do custom knife sheaths. I do Leatherman sheaths. I do custom holsters. My website isn't as fancy as Utah Air Guns, but so you can't go in there and build your holster, and the prices and the colors, the picture will change. That's really what I wanted, but it was too spendy. But you can build your own holster. Find the holster you want, go to the holster upgrades page, add the Kydex that you want and stuff like that. You can get a one-of-a-kind piece. Everything's, if you don't see what you want, contact me. Email me directly. People are always contacting me through social media. That's the worst way to contact me. I'll usually get back to you eventually, but email me, just Jason@concealmentsolutions.com. Let me know what you're looking for, and I'll tell you whether I can do it or not, or more times than not, we can work something out.
I was just going to say a couple things that, you haven't mentioned that you do make and the services you provide is that Jason makes some really cool knife sheaths.
Yeah.
And I had they're pretty cool knives that were special to me, but they had really crappy, like pleather, whatever, I don't know, junky knife sheaths. And so I got the nice knife sheaths made by Jason, and they look pretty dang awesome.
Cool.
And then the other thing is the air tank
carrier. I haven't put that on the website yet. I was hoping this week to have a new prototype that Lee over at Black Ice was going to test. It's not going to be as attractive because the way they are now, they're really cool looking, but they'll be easier to put on and take off, which Lee needs one that he can take on and off easy because his fill station at the fire station that he uses, it won't fit in the fill station with it on. And it takes about a half an hour to put one on right now, the way they are.
I would love to demo another one of those if you happen to want another person to demo it.
This is all we've got our own economy here. All we do is we just extort free stuff from each other.
It's true. But it's
trade bullets for holsters for mag holders.
Yeah.
One thing that I've done a few of that I would like to perhaps develop into something I can put on the website, but I got to play with it more. I've had several people want to carry their gun like in a center console in their car.
Yeah.
I made one that I posted a video and some pictures on my social media on Instagram and Facebook. It's been a few months. A woman came by, new to concealed carry, wanted something for a Glock 19 is a new Jeep Wrangler. And I made a system that was really quite cool, that it mounted vertically in there. You didn't have to alter the vehicle at all, didn't screw anything to the vehicle. You can remove it. If she decides she's selling the vehicle or doesn't want to have it in there, she can remove it, and it leaves no evidence behind that anything was ever installed in there. I want to work on that a little bit more to see if I can come up with something that's semi-universal. You need a pretty deep center console, but anyway, I was really happy with that way it turned.
I'm asking for a friend here.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a fake gun for a Kimber K6 3-inch?
No, that's the revolver.
Yeah.
I don't. They do make one. I can get one, but I haven't had, I don't know if I've had any requests for it yet. And that's kind of the way I work. If there's a gun model that you have that you don't see on my website, ask me for it.
And then you go buy one.
I usually will. If it's something really unusual, there might not be one available. If there is, I may or may not jump on it. Just if I feel like there's some gun models that I have that I've used like twice in 10 years.
Right.
And it's like, So I try to avoid stuff like that, but it's hard to judge, what's going to be that way and what isn't. Sometimes, like when Kimber released that Kimber Solo a few years back, I was really excited about that gun. I liked the way it looked. I liked how it felt. It was a cool little tiny carry gun that was a total dog.
Right.
And I don't even think they even make it anymore. And so I have a gun mold for that. I actually made a handful of holsters for that gun, but there's stuff like that that's kind of a flash in the pan and goes away. At least I didn't have to buy the gun to do it. Anyway, you can use the code. This code is dying at the end of this week. So let me look at my calendar real quick. What's the end of the week going to be?
Probably next Saturday.
It will be next Saturday. The 10th, October 10th is the last day to use the code. Oh my gosh, I just forgot it.
Blonde wig.
No.
Show me the candy first.
Show me the candy. That was it. I can't believe my brain just totally froze on that. Show me the candy. It's a deeper discount than normal, and you're going to get a Concealed Taco Dudes bumper sticker with your order. So
I think you've been inhaling too much warm Kydex.
That could be. let's jump into our topic today. Mark, why don't you introduce what we're going to discuss today?
So I've been really curious because there was an article, and this is not a shameless plug. It's actually a shameful plug. But there was an internet publication that is done by Springfield Armory. It's that they've got their own media group, and they commission articles on different subjects. And the subject of that this time was how much ammo should you carry? And they did a thoughtful thing, and they talked not only about how much ammo it may make sense to carry and how, and they were very nice to feature mag holder in this article. I had no idea. They just sent me a link afterwards and said, hey, we featured your product, heads up.
Wow, at least you get a heads up. I've had customers call me, hey, nice plug in the latest Guns magazine or whatever.
Right, exactly. But anyway, one of the interesting things was I learned the difference between Hornady Critical Defense and Hornady Critical Duty. They're different ammo. It's not just one's like a civilian thing and one's a cop thing. They have different intended purposes. And it got me thinking about, what about all the other stuff we carry? So extra magazines makes sense, if you're carrying a gun. But there are a lot of other things that you could and maybe should carry. Because if you only have a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail, right? So my question is what other types of things are we carrying?
I carry a hammer.
Yeah, right. But what about things like pepper spray? What about things like knives and medical supplies and so forth? So I just thought I'd run around the room here, the virtual room, and see what it is that you guys think we should carry in addition to our pistol.
What do you think we should, or what do we?
Well, both. I think that's an important question. So I'll start off, and I think that I'm not probably doing it right, but I do have a med kit in my car, and that med kit does include a cat tourniquet because I run across more car wrecks than I do shootings, which is good. In my lifetime, I've been not a part of, but I've been like the first responder on two different very serious accidents. One of them was a fatality, and it was a mess. And at that point, I wasn't prepared. And so anyway, that's why I have a med kit in my car. But it got me thinking: should I have a med kit on my person, or within close reach at least?
Right.
And then I was thinking about again the whole issue of if you only have your gun and you have the mindset that the gun is your single tool for self-defense, that might not be the most appropriate thing. So I was wondering about pepper spray. I was wondering about knives and so forth. So what I'm carrying today, I've got a med kit in the car. I've got a pistol, a mag holder with a single spare mag, and that's what I carry every day. And I've got a pocket knife that could be used for things like cutting seat belts if you need to get yourself or somebody out of a car. And potentially, if I were skilled, if I took some classes, it would probably be appropriate for some sort of defensive use. But that's all I've got. So I've got my spare mag, my med kit in the car, and my pocket knife, and my pistol.
Is there anything else in your vehicle that you carry?
I do have a flashlight.
Okay.
But I'm thinking that one of those 100 lumen jobbers from TACware might be something that I need to have on me. I remember reading about the people who were actually escaping from the Twin Towers on 9/11, and they were going through sort of this subterranean area and trying to get out of the building. The power was down, and they couldn't see where they were going. And it was one of the first responders who went in and then back out with some people who was explaining how that flashlight saved his life and 15 or 20 other people that day.
Right.
So it seems like a flashlight is a good thing.
Well, you spend a fair bit of time in your vehicle, just so people know. I mean, for the day job, you spend a lot of time in it, sometimes driving through different states and whatnot. So
I'm kind of like Bob Main that way. He's got his mobile studio. I kind of have the same thing.
Yeah. What about you, Taco? What's your setup?
So I have a couple of different Kershaw knives, and they're the speed assist knives, and they're not. I wouldn't say they're high end. They're kind of a lower end quality, but they open up super fast, one handed. And I kind of like having a cheaper knife that I just carry on my body, and I use the thing multiple times every day. I mean, typically it's to cut open boxes and stuff. But yeah, I use this little Kershaw knife all the time. And when I lose it, temporarily misplace it, then I have another one just like it, and I just clip it on my belt. So I always have a knife. I always have a gun, or I try to have a gun. And it's usually either my Glock 19 or it is my 357 Scandium frame in my pocket.
Right.
And then I guess on my keychain, I've got my little tactical toothpick. And that's, it's kind of handy just to have there if you ever need to poke something or get something out of your teeth, either or. Then, I have that.
They're all right for picking slivers out too.
They are. I've used it for that too. And, otherwise on body, I don't usually carry a flashlight. I wish I probably did, but having something that could click on my belt and be very unobtrusive, or, something that didn't just not a big chunky thing, that would be handy. So, maybe that little Tackware flashlight with the clip on it, because I believe it has a clip.
Yep,
so you can put it on your hat or something.
It'll go in your pocket or on a belt, or it's a reversible. It'll clip both ways, so it'll clip onto the visor of your hat, and you can use it like a headlamp.
That's really cool. I had no idea.
Yeah. So that would be kind of a future thing that I would like to have. And I usually have my backpack in my car, and it has flashlights and all kinds of tools. I also have a few protein bars in the backpack just in case, and a couple water bottles. But in my car, I usually like to I have this bin, and I keep tools in it, just cheap Harbor Freight tools. And I found that having cheap tools that I don't mind, if they were to get stolen, that's okay, whatever, no big loss. I'll go back to Harbor Freight and pick up some more. But some wrenches, screwdrivers, typical things. I found that I actually use those quite a bit, whether I go to show up to help somebody move and they're disassembling something, and usually they don't have the right tools. I say, hold on. And then I run out to my car and grab them, and, and I keep I try to keep an extra firearm nearby also. And I've been working from home lately, so I have several firearms around. But fire extinguisher, that's a good one to have in the car also.
I don't have one of those, and should.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've actually been in a situation in a car, pulled up, going down the road, and there was a guy standing on the side of the road watching the center console of his car with flames coming out of it. This was a long time ago. Missed his ashtray with his cigarette, and it started burning the wiring in. Yeah, but I was with my roommate. We were in his 1970 Volkswagen bus, which if you have one of those, you have to have a fire extinguisher.
Yes, you do.
They just spontaneously combust all the time. But yeah, we jumped out and put that guy's car out, and he was very grateful. I went, it's a good thing to have.
So I'm writing this down. I think, like you said, Taco, the basic assortment of tools is going to be very helpful. And the fire extinguisher is one that just really jumps out. And then I've got on my list the Tackware flashlight with the clip. What do you guys think about?
Hey, I didn't talk about what I have yet.
All right.
Well, real quick too, I was going to say, I have a kind of like a minor first aid kit in my truck, but I need to put together another one for my Forester, the little car I drive, and it's kind of hard because to get everything for every vehicle, for your wife's vehicle and yours, and, if you have an extra truck or something.
Or remembering to move it from vehicle to vehicle or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, everyday carry, I've always got a gun on me and a spare magazine in a mag holder. And I always have a pocket knife, and my toothpick is on my key ring as well. As far as what's on my person, that's pretty much it. I don't like stuff in my pockets. I have had times where I felt like Batman because I have so much crap on my belt, and
Right.
it kind of gets to the point where it's like, okay, I either, it's too cumbersome, it's too annoying, it's not, I have customers that will carry, a full-size Glock with a tactical light on it on inside the waist on one side and a double inside the waistband mag carrier on the other side and a flashlight and two knives, and that's just not me. That's too much gear that I don't feel like I'm going to need. And so over the years I've kind of pared everything down to the gun, a spare magazine, and a knife. And like Taco, it's mostly using it at the shop for cutting open stuff or whatever, that obviously could be used for other situations as well. Something I feel like I should add to that is a flashlight. I've got lots of flashlights, but nothing I want to have on me all the time because they're too big. But that little TacWare one is something I will add to that. You can slide it into a back pocket and never even know it's there. It's so small. In my vehicle, I have a pretty good first aid kit. Coaching high school kids on bicycles, we're always patching somebody up, and so that kind of lives in my truck. That's why that's there, but it can be used obviously for any situation. I also have a knife that sits in a case that I made it attaches under my dashboard right above my right knee. So it's easy access and it's pointing towards me. So I just have to reach forward and pull it. And it has a seatbelt cutter and a glass breaker on it. Kind of like what you were saying, Mark. I've been in a situation where I've rolled up on car accidents, and fortunately I haven't had to break anybody out of a burning vehicle or anything like that, but that's kind of the idea behind that. Or if I get in a situation where I'm trapped in my own vehicle, it's right there and I can get to it. I also have 1,000 lumen flashlight that I carry, a few extra tools. I have a small, what I really need to do is put together like a get home bag. So it's kind of like a bug out bag, but a little bit smaller. But I have something that I keep in my glove box. It's got, a couple granola bars, some hard candy, a bottle of water. I think it's got one of those really cheap rain ponchos and just a couple of things like that you could run into a situation where you might need something. A few years ago, I had a different truck, engine rebuilt. It lasted 2 weeks before it died on me and left me and my son stranded out in the middle of nowhere. And it was awesome because I try to teach my kids to have stuff and to be prepared and whatnot. And so our kids all have these little bags that they keep in their school backpacks that have hard candy and little snacks and things like that.
Extra ammo.
And because this truck was still, because this truck, I'd literally only been driving it for 2 weeks and I hadn't set it up yet. So we're stranded. I don't have any of the stuff that I normally carry. And my son's like, I think he's in 4th grade. Hey, Dad, I've got this. He grabs it. I picked him up from school before we left to go test out the 4-wheel drive up in the mountains and whatnot. And he's like, here, I've got my kit in my bag. And so he kind of saved the day a little bit with that, which was kind of cool. Tools for your vehicle. Here's a hot tip. I'm like Taco. Tools in my truck are just going to be cheap. They're not tools that I'm going to use doing regular maintenance and stuff like that on my vehicle. They're tools that can live in that vehicle that aren't going to get messed with unless you need them where you're at. Harbor Freight, I get their mailers, and all the time I get a coupon. It's a 130-piece toolkit that's in a case for $29.99.
Really?
Are the tools awesome? No, they're crap. But if you're in your vehicle and you're going to use them occasionally, they're going to be fine, And I'm not a mechanic, so carrying tools in my vehicle are more for the guy who stops to say, hey, do you need any help? And I go, yeah. Do you know how to fix a vehicle? Yeah, but I don't have any tools. Well, I do. So that kit, I'm probably going to pick one of those up here pretty soon. The other thing, and I don't have one in my truck, but my wife has one in her van. It's a battery pack, and it is super tiny. It's about a 5 by 6 inch square and about not even 2 inches thick, I don't think. and it will jumpstart your car.
Nice.
And you can recharge it by plugging it into your cigarette lighter as you're driving around.
So it's
It'll
got
also,
little alligator clips for
it does.
terminals. Wow.
It'll also charge your cell phone, and it's got a flashlight on it. Really cool. I think we picked it up at Costco for like $50 a few years ago. I've used it 5 or 6 times. I've never had to use it for myself. I've always somebody, hey, do you have jumper cables? Oh, I got something better. I don't have to try and squeeze my car in next to theirs or anything. Only one time it didn't work, and I think their vehicle was just it was totally dead. I don't know what was going on, but
it was an F-350 diesel with totally dead. Yeah.
I don't know. Other things that I carry in my vehicle all the time, I carry a blanket just in case. I've like I said, I've been stranded out in the boonies before, and it took about 4 hours before I had somebody come bail me out of that one. Fortunately, it was in the afternoon, but things like that. In my wife's van, an old rain suit from when I was riding motorcycles all the time just lives in that in case we get a flat tire and it's bad weather. And I'm in my shorts and a t-shirt, it's raining or something, I can throw on that rain suit and be out there for however long it takes to change a tire or something like that.
Well, that sounds really like most of your everyday carry and vehicle stuff has been honed over some years of experience, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the less lethal on the defense side.
Yeah.
Is it weird? I mean, do you carry pepper spray or a stun gun or something like that? Do you carry that when you can't carry a gun, or are there people that carry both? Does it make sense to grab for something less than lethal?
Well, if you look at the guys that are in that situation day to day, the cops, they usually carry all 3 of those things and an asp,
True.
which
Right.
is an asp is actually something I've been wanting to get also, just not to carry on me, but to have in my vehicle just in case. I have carried pepper spray when I was in places where I couldn't carry my firearm. I use a Kimber pepper blaster,
Right.
which I like because I have a holster for it. It's the muscle memory of drawing, pointing, and shooting are all exactly what I'm used to, and so I like that.
Don't you make a holster for that?
Yeah, I can. It's not on the website. It's something I can do and have done. Yeah, so I like those. But you're right. I've been in situations where, a neighborhood dog that is known to be very aggressive was on my front lawn, and so I stepped out onto the lawn to shoo it away, and rather than being shooed, its hair stood up on the back of its neck and its head dropped down and it started growling at me. And this was a big dog, and like you said, all I had was a hammer. And he became a nail. So I put my hand on my gun and continued to tell this dog to leave, and it decided that it was going to leave for whatever reason. But I had already made that decision that if it made a move towards me, it was going to be shot, which I would have much rather have hit it with my pepper blaster than a 9mm, just to keep things happy in the neighborhood with my neighbors and stuff like that. But I didn't have to use anything. So less than lethal options, I think, are probably worth considering for sure. I think for myself, thinking about potential situations that you can be in and whatever, my first thought is to get away.
Right.
It's not looking to inject myself into a situation or escalate something or anything like that. Just like I've told my kids when we've talked about things, what do you do if you're at the mall and you hear gunfire? You hear gunshots, what do you do? For me, even though I'm armed, I'm not moving towards the gunfire, especially if my family's with me.
Right.
If I'm in a store, we're going out the back door of the store, right through the back room. I tell my kids that, like, well, you can't go back there. That's employees only. It's like, not in that situation, it isn't.
Right.
So I think your mindset is your first weapon of choice. You know, you should be thinking about the situations and scenarios and what would I do if this happened right now. That's how I've gotten through all the orchestra performances at the junior high school and things like that, sitting in a crowded auditorium looking around going, okay, if a guy came through that door right now and started shooting, what would I do?
Right.
But, I think it is healthy to run through scenarios like that when you're in situations. Next time you're sitting in a movie theater.
Yep.
While the previews are playing, okay, somebody comes through that door right there. What am I going to do? What can I do?
I'm glad that I'm not the only one that does that. And my family thinks I'm kind of nuts too, because they're always giving me the seat where I got a clear view of the door and all that stuff.
Yeah, mine is the same. So I don't know, Taco, you got any insight on potentially carrying less than lethal options and stuff like that?
My wife carried one of those little Kimber pepper blast things.
Yeah, that's what I've had.
And one thing I would say is I would recommend buying two and then go test it, and so how to shoot it, because a lot of times the functioning of it or using it is a little bit different than what you think. So it's nice.
The other thing to keep in mind, I learned this from a customer who I made a holster for. He had one that he carried when he would hike and walk and stuff like that. And similar to my situation, a dog came up, no owners around, got really aggressive. And so he pulled that out, hit the dog with it, which took care of the problem. But he then put it back in his pocket.
Oh.
The problem with that is once you fire one of those, that pepper spray that's in there just kind of oozes out of the barrel that you fired, and it just kind of ran down his leg, and he said it was quite uncomfortable. So
it's a significant skin irritant as well as mucus and stuff, right?
Okay. Oh yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So anyway, I would like to know what some of our listeners think. Maybe there's some that are in areas where they can't carry, or they're in a work environment where they can't carry. Are they carrying some less than lethal options? Are they carrying both? I'd like to know what other people think on the matter. And, maybe what are they driving around with also? If there's, something that we missed or that we should consider. Well, like you said, I've honed my stuff over the years to what I feel like is good for me in my situation, but, can always get better.
We might have an entirely different set of answers from people who live like Bulldog Bakery, in Chicago is and Manhattan and Boston and places like that probably have different answers than we do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. One last thing, I forgot to mention it, but one thing I carry in my car and my truck is extra hats and jackets. So even year round, I keep them.
Balaclavas.
Well, I do keep extra sunglasses and some safety glasses in case I need to do some shooting wherever I go to. But
it sounds like if you get pulled over on your way shooting, you might have some explaining to do. Why do you have all this disguise equipment and all these firearms? And
but I do a lot of camping, and so you never know what it's going to be like in the mountains. The temperature can drop really quite a bit. And if you have extra jackets, and, the hats are for the sun, but those things help. And, I end up using them in the summer and the winter. So, but we are out of time. So,
Mark, did you have one more thing you wanted to add before we sign off?
No, I may save this for next week, but it's a encounter with the police that went really well. For my daughter, who is in Utah, you can, when you're less than 21 but over 18, you can have a concealed carry permit that's sort of provisional. And I'll tell that story next week. It was a good encounter with a police person that could have led to a citation, and because she was carrying herself with confidence and knowledge of the law and stuff, she didn't even get a ticket. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Cool. Well, thanks for listening. hopefully we gave you some things to think about and some things to work on.
Yeah, please give us some things to think about. Let us know how you survive in your environment.
Right on. Okay, we'll see you all next week. Be safe and be nice.
Take someone shooting and go cast your body's weight in bullets.
Nice. Okay, well, what have we got for today?
So
We have a tired taco, and
That's always the case.
not always. These night episodes, though,
Well,
I
that's
can't
all we
believe-
ever do.